Hi, today's question is, how do I be more authentic? How do I be more authentic? So here we go. Greetings and thank you for the question. How to be more authentic. This concept of being more authentic is very congruent with the purpose of your existence, to know thyself. As you increasingly know thyself, you are increasingly authentic. And the self that you seek to know, because you do seek to know self. And as an aside, let's illustrate that this is true. It is your desire to experience happiness. It is a universal human condition to wish to be in a state of happiness. And so humans pursue different paths in life with the intent to arrive at happiness. So for example, they spend many hours in work, often something they do not enjoy, because they wish to receive the money which they can then use to buy the things which will make them more happy. The nicer car, the better house, the vacation, the clothes and gadgets, because this will enhance their happiness. This is a universal condition on your planet. And the reason that you seek happiness is because you seek yourself. The One is the creator of it all. And as such, you are an individuation of the One. In the lexicon of human emotion, the One is love and its derivatives. Its derivatives being emotions like gratitude, happiness, joy, bliss. These are the constituent energetic building blocks of the One in the human lexicon. And as you are an individuation of the One, then you are an individuation of the infinite love of the One and the derivatives of love, including happiness. So you literally are gratitude, happiness, joy, bliss, love. These are not things that you must pursue externally such that you can create the conditions where you may possess them, because they are you. You are happiness. And therefore, your pursuit of happiness is in fact a pursuit of self. So, you seek to know thyself. This is at the basis of your driving instinct, because the One seeks to know itself. The One, prior to the creation of existence, existed only as a concept, because without comparison, without differentiation, experience isn't possible. And so there was only the One and nothing else. So it was a concept. It yearned to know itself experientially, and therefore created the infinite individuation of itself, such that now comparison, contrast was possible. Because now there was the illusion of different entities and states of being that were separate and different from each other. And so comparison, contrast, differentiation became possible. Experience became possible. And so the one's purpose is to experience all experience across all creation until it knows itself to completion through experience. And as you are an individuation of the one, you are the one, then the one's purpose is your purpose, to know thyself. And so, this is the path that you are already on. Your seeking of happiness is a seeking of self, to know thyself, because it is your purpose, because it is the one's purpose, and you are the one. Therefore, to be more authentic is the direct result of your fulfillment of the universal purpose. Because as you know yourself more and more, you become more and more the true self in your presence. You become more authentic. So when we talk of you knowing the self, we do not mean the mind, body, personality. These are temporary tools that have been given to you such that the true self can integrate into physicality to have the experience of a life until it concludes and you return to full awareness and wakefulness of the true self. Because you are the higher self. You are an infinite non-physical being. You are not the mind, body, personality. These are temporary assets for you to use on the journey through this lifetime as you fulfill the universal purpose, and therefore your own purpose, of to know thyself, which is to know the infinite non-physical aspect of self in the physical experience. To become the master, to become the energetic God you are, realized in the physical experience. And so this is the journey that you are on. And as you become more aware of the higher self perspective while in the physical experience, then you inevitably become more authentic. And the falsity of the mind and the personality are diminished. So this process is accelerated in two fundamental ways. The first is to spend time in silent contemplation of your infinite non-physical, which is to say, spend time in meditation. Spend time where you are in silence, which includes the silence of the mind, and yet you are aware that you are present. There is no internal dialogue, there are no thoughts, there is only silence in the mind. The internal environment is stillness, and yet you still have the awareness, I am. This is awareness of the higher self. And as you become more familiar with the higher self, with this state of stillness and silence in the internal environment, then you can increasingly be more reflective of that in your everyday experience in the physical world. And then the second part of this equation is to allow that authenticity, allow that true vibratory expression of self to be present in the moment. And to do that, the mind must continue to be silent in the non-meditative state, such that you can spontaneously emanate the higher self presence into every moment. And the mind is silent. This is authenticity. This is masterfully being the higher self presence in every moment. Because the higher self flows. It is downloading into the vehicle being the mind, the body, the personality. The higher self is real-time streaming from an off-site location, it could be said. So it is not existing inside the body, but instead the body exists inside the higher self. The body is a manifestation of the higher self. It is a tool for your use, such that you can be the infinite, immortal, invulnerable individuation of the love of the One in physical form. So when you allow yourself to flow, it is the same as saying that your spontaneity isn't interrupted. It isn't sent to the mind for curation. Instead, it is allowed to flow, such that even you yourself, from the perspective of the mind, is not sure what you are about to say next. It is not sure what you are about to do next. Because the mind does not need to know. The mind is a servant to the true essence of who you are, which is the higher self. You are the master. The mind, the body, the personality are servants to the master. And so they do not need to know. Instead, they exist to facilitate the desires and intent of the higher self. This requires the courage to let go. This requires the faith that if you allow yourself to spontaneously flow, to be an instantaneous expression in the moment, that it will be adequate to the moment. And of course, as you are a perfect being, from the higher self, fifth dimensional perspective, your perception of the physical world is far greater than your perception of the physical world is from the perspective of the mind. The mind is an organic artificial intelligence. It does not have awareness. It is an intellect, a logical tool. And so it is limited by intelligence. Whereas the higher self has access to the realm of infinite wisdom. It is infinite itself, all contained within. So the higher self is without limitation. And when you allow yourself to flow, then you allow the infinite wisdom of the highest self to flow. And as it can see so much more than the mind can see, it is much more capable of being perfectly congruent and perfectly reflective of what is appropriate for the moment. And so there is no need to doubt it. There is no need to divert the flow to the mind for curation. Can you see it is an erroneous belief that the mind knows better than the infinite higher self? The limited mind is a limited device without awareness. It is a tool. And so to subjugate yourself to the directives of the mind is a misuse of the tool. Instead, the master allows the infinite wisdom of the higher self to spontaneously flow into the moment as presence, not requiring curation by the mind. There is no diversion of the flow to the mind for curation such that the mind can say, we shall not say this. We shall change the way that we were going to say that. This will make me appear foolish, so it shall not be said. This is the fear of the very limited intellect of the mind. It cannot see, it cannot perceive what the higher self can. And so it does not understand why the higher self has made the decisions that it has made. The higher self can see so much more than the mind can ever be aware of. Because the mind is a limited intellect without awareness beyond what is capable through the senses. Whereas the higher self has access to infinite wisdom. It is infinitely aware and knows perfectly how to be in every moment for absolute congruency and synchronization to the moment. Therefore, can you see it is unnecessary to have fear that being authentic is going to be a detriment, is going to affect your capacity to be socially appropriate. Because the goal is not to be socially appropriate. The goal is to be authentically expressive in a way which is most valuable and congruent to the moment. So this is not blending in, which is what the mind wishes you to do, such that you do not draw attention or ridicule or a focus which may reveal you as being incompetent. Instead, don't blend, but shine. Be vibrant. Be present so authentically that you become a magnet for others who yearn for their own authenticity. They recognize in you a capacity which they admire because their higher self-intuitive sense recognizes the wisdom of the way that you are. Because in the highest self state, spontaneously emanating into the moment, you are a literal outpouring of wisdom. So to be authentic know thyself, and then allow the discovery of self to be expressively spontaneous in your presence, without your judgment. This is the toolkit for authenticity. Your planet is shifting, as you are well aware. And in the past, the paradigm has been inauthenticity. Much of your news, much of the rhetoric of your leaders and politicians has been inauthenticity. It has been manipulation through projecting to you something which isn't real, which is not truthful. However, these features of your global culture, which have relied on inauthenticity, are crumbling, are losing their authority, are diminishing in their influence over the people of your planet. Because it is the end of the era of inauthenticity, and it is the rise of authenticity. And this is happening because it is what is happening to the people of your planet. Your people are becoming more authentic. And as they become more authentic, then it becomes easier for them to be aware of what is inauthentic. And so those vehicles, those cultural tools which are steeped in inauthenticity, are losing their appeal. And those that are more expressive of authenticity are gaining in their appeal. So now is the time for you also to be authentic. Trust yourself. Look about you and see that this is the time to be authentic. Being authentic will not be a detriment to you, but will be a massive boon to you. Because this is what the world now seeks. Authenticity. So the point of this is to say, be brave. Have the courage to allow yourself to say. Don't hold back from the impulse of the way that you wish to express. Allow it to flow. Allow it to be. And as such, this is literal authenticity. And you will find that your life begins to change in many ways. You will like yourself more. You will understand yourself better. People will like you more. They will be drawn to your authenticity. They will respect you for your honesty. And then this overflow will continue into your work environment, into your relationships, into your capacities to be creative, to be wise, to discern the solution for problems which previously you were not able to grasp because you were more proportionally intellect and less proportionately higher self, infinite wisdom. This is the way forward, not just for you, but for all of those on your planet. And so have trust. Be brave. Be spontaneous, such that the download of the higher self, which is real-time streaming through the apparatus, is instantaneously expressed as your presence. And you shall be authentic. So we hope this has helped you to understand the basis of authenticity. And now we shall say in conclusion, spend time in an internal environment of stillness such that you become familiar with the higher self perspective of you, which is present when the mind is silent. Do this regularly. And when you are in this state, feel the deep love, peacefulness, kindness, and joyful state. Be familiar with that. And when you go into the real world after your meditation, maintain that vibratory state. And then when the opportunity comes to communicate with your environment through that open state of love and its derivatives, express fearlessly, instantaneously. Surprise yourself by the things that you say and do, because they will be an instantaneous expression of the wisdom of the higher self that has not gone through the mind acting as a gatekeeper to determine if it can be said or not. The mind will discover what it is after it has been expressed. This is authenticity. Thank you. We love you. It is an exciting time on your planet. And with great joy, we look forward to experiencing the energetic pulse of your authenticity in the physical plane. Thank you.